To members of the media, a typical Champions League game with two very good sides. Maybe the words fail me at the moment, but I think I have to congratulate the football club for having a good run in the Champions League. It's a difficult competition, this. And congratulations to Wydad on progressing, and wishing them all the best for the final. We end having won a lot of hearts, but of course not good enough. So we've got to galvanize strength and pick ourselves up and go again next season.
Mr. Media, please just identify yourselves before posing your questions.
Good evening, Coach. Karao from SuperSport. Unlike on the result, Coach. Throughout the season, you've always spoken about emotional attachment to your players, and that also showed today. And there's a lot of sad faces, not just the players, but focusing more on the players. How do you pick them up? I mean, considering yourself as well, there's a lot of emotion as you're speaking, as you say, loss of words. But how are you planning on picking these players who've done absolutely fantastic for you all season?
They know I love them more actually today. In good and bad, we stay together. But yeah, that's why I'm here, and that's why the club has entrusted me with this responsibility. It's not so much in the good moments; it's actually in the bad moments that I've got to step up. First, take responsibility, and then try to allow the players to feel it. We've got to feel it, because it's the pain that will push us to the next level. So we've got to feel it. But this group knows them. I love them, and maybe so I love them more today than when we won the championship a few days ago.
Coach,
Sure, Lawrence.
I asked you about 2 weeks ago, about the style of play, how Wydad play, how Al Ahly play.
Yeah.
You guys took the lead twice. Did it not cross your mind at any point to say, forget the principles, shut the back door, play ugly, let's get it across the line?
When we don't win, we open the door for a lot of the talk. The topic of style of play is a very interesting topic. But it's a topic that's been posed not just to me, so I have to understand that first and foremost. And even greater, more successful coaches have had to answer that question. What I know and what I respect is that there's more than just one way to win. But there's also more than just one way to live life. And football being what it is, a reflection of society, in the bad, you are not good enough for sure, because that's the judgment. In the good, you're probably still not good enough, and that's the judgment, because there's others that feel they can do it a different way, and you got to respect that. There's others that think they can do it better, and you got to respect that. But I think we've done it the pragmatic way a couple of times, and it also hasn't worked. We've done it the percentage football way, and it also hasn't worked. So let's let's give this a bit of time. Before you cast judgment. I said a few months ago, maybe, I said it's not an obsession, it's a dream. And this was the reason why I said that. And I have been at this football club for many years, in the capacity that is not the capacity that I happen to find myself privileged to serve this football club currently. But how I see football, how I feel the game, fortunately, is how this club feels the game and how this club sees the game. And we will continue with this dream. And we will win the Champions League. But it might not be this season, of course. It might not be next season, but eventually we'll win the Champions League. And we will win it playing the way the club, its supporters, its culture. Because if you want to change the style of football, then you've got to take out quite a lot of what speaks to this club. The colors of this club are synonymous with the nickname attached to this club. The nickname attached to this club is a nickname that is synonymous with a certain style of play. And then if you change completely your identity, you've got to eradicate a lot of years written about Mamelodi Sundowns Football Club.
Come on, please go ahead.
Yeah. Coach, had luck on the result. During the week, you had raised the issue of the set plays and their area of strength, and even the coach, when we spoke to him yesterday, he raised it. Is it a bitter pill to swallow now that something that you have also carried against is proving to be the downfall?
We're going to have to answer questions for sure. Some we might not have answers to. What could assist us is that nobody can fault us for effort, for commitment, for maybe even preempting what we may know as the strength of the North African teams. The appointment of a set-piece coach should go as evidence that we are not people who are the best scientists after. And so when we made the employment, it was not to say in the short term, because that's not the game of football, but was because we have identified that one of the major strengths as to why for 35 of the Champions League trophies have gone to the North is because of that. It's not the only reason. And part to what I think was a big determining factor was the experience. And you could see it. But that is not something you have to go and buy. That is not something you can get a coach in to deal with. that is something the players have got to go through and learn from. And for sure next season will be stronger.
Maskepe, let's just take your question, Carl. We'll come to you.
Maskepe from Power FM.
Sure, Maskepe.
The two goals, not necessarily talking about what could we have done differently, but what happens then? Is it a situation of the player scoring and then dropping, or is it a situation of Wydad after Sundowns scores then piling the pressure to force Sundowns back? And then also on the issue of coming back and trying to win it, when you look at last season and how you go out in the quarters against Petro and then this season as well, what would you say have been the gains, even though at the moment it may not seem like there's gains, but what would you say are gains that you can build on as you want to come back again?
Sure. It's actually a very interesting Maskepe, but I think I am too emotional at the moment to answer both the questions. What is clearly evident is the fact that we haven't been in the semi-final for the last three years. Of a very important competition and a difficult competition. And so the gains are evident, even though they are marginal. The mistakes are evident, and even though they are marginal. But this game that we play in this competition in particular doesn't allow for mistakes because you get punished. And at the moment I'm too emotional to be able to give you a summation. However, what I can say is that I am extremely proud of the players. I'm proud of the effort. I'm proud that in a very difficult competition we've finished unbeaten against some strong opponents. But of course there's the element of disappointment which probably overrides my thought processes at the moment. And maybe it's only time that will reveal whether or not we are making the necessary progress to be able to be good enough and maybe reach a level of perfection that's needed to be able to compete and fiercely compete for this competition. But I trust the process. I trust this group. They'll be stronger, they'll be better next season, they'll have more experience. And we will go again and try to make this dream a reality.
Guys, I'm afraid we just have time for the one question before we have to wrap up.
Coach, the horror of scoring an own goal in a game like this must surely demand that you go and say something to a young man like Mvala, the burden that he must now bear. What have you said to him, if you have said anything to him before we get into this press conference? And secondly, what message would you have for Percy Tau carrying Mzansi's hopes now in the Champions League?
I don't know if I'll have a message for Percy, but if I will, I think I will convey it privately like I've always communicated with him. What did I say to Toby? If anything, in moments like this, there's two things. One, they say those that don't make mistakes are those that probably are not doing anything at all. And two, I don't think he's prepared to listen to the coach at the moment. But he felt the coach's love. I can definitely assure you of that. I gripped the hand firmly. I pulled the body a lot closer. And I gave him the reassurance that he's not alone. And that, for me, is probably far more important than any of the words I could have uttered.
Coach Mokwena, we thank you for your time for the members of the media. Congratulations on a fantastic campaign.